Okay, so wear and tear, training around pain, understanding soreness, and how to train around that. So a little bit about me, for those of you that don't know, is I am a board-certified athletic trainer, and so that makes me a movement specialist. And my job is to care and prevent athletic injuries. So that's kind of what this whole talk is about. I have 10 plus years of experience and am a multi-sport athlete myself, so movement and pain is no stranger to me. I'm going to run through this pretty quickly, but so we are very adaptive people, and our body is designed to be adaptive. And so that's where you can put in Wolff's Law and Davis's Law that says your bones and your muscles and tissues will adapt and respond to the loads that are placed upon them. It also means that if you're not placing loads, they'll digress and adapt to that as well. So it's use it or lose it, basically. When we train, we can use this to our advantage by creating stress through workouts, have recovery, and then adapt. And so that's where the injury piece comes in. If we do too much, we get injured. And then if we do too little, then we break down, have weakness, which can also lead to injury as well. So the right dosage, being in that sweet spot, matters. So pain is a little bit complex and subjective. It's an unpleasant sensory experience. I think all of us at some point have experienced what we would call pain. It's an emotional experience with actual or potential tissue damage serving as a warning sign. You all can read all that. So it's very, very personal. There's different types of pain. We still alive? Burning, aching, stinging, stabbing, sharp, all of those things. And that's a good thing because it would be crucial for survival. This is a signal for us to stop, protect, or treat the body to get healing. So we need pain, which is not nice. It tells us that something is wrong. So there's two main types of pain. I'm going to talk about acute pain. So this is the short-term pain that comes from a very specific instance. It's usually a very clear cause and goes away in a few months or once the issue is treated. So it's temporary. 6 months or less is the category for it to be acute pain. This would be more like your broken bones, your surgeries, your burns, cuts, sprains, strains, all of that. So it usually starts as pretty sharp, and then it'll improve as you go from there. On the other hand, chronic pain is going to be your long-lasting. It's a little more frustrating. It's 3 to 6 months typically. It can last for up to several years, and it ranges from mild pain to more severe pain. It typically will impact your quality of life, which can lead to other secondary issues like anxiety or depression. It's your muscle tension, your low energy, limited mobility, headaches, nerve damage, low back pain, arthritis, and that makes it more frustrating and to manage and treat from there. So normal soreness would be something like delayed onset muscle soreness or DOMS. This comes with your new activities. It usually lasts 24 to 72 hours. It's going to feel dull, achy, stiff, and it's going to improve with your movement. So basically you do a leg workout, your thighs feel really stiff, it hurts to sit down for about 2 to 3 days. Walking makes it feel better. And then, like I said, 2 to 3 days later, you're feeling good, back to normal. That is a signal that you've had an adaptation to a new load, and that's generally pretty safe to move through. On the other hand, when you're talking about pain, this is something that needs a little bit more attention. It's more sharp, stabbing, catching, locking, giving away, swelling, instability, pain at rest or at night, and pain that gets worse. So you're doing squats, your knee pain gets worse. Later that day, you notice some swelling in there. It kind of lingers for a couple days. Maybe you're even limping, then you're going to need to get some guidance there. Don't continue, figure out what's going on. So a little kind of side by side there. So soreness is going to be more diffuse, predictable. It's going to improve with movement, and it's generally pretty temporary, whereas pain is very specific. It's sharp or deep, it worsens with activity, or it's going to be persistent. And primarily talking about acute pain there. So some general guidelines: if your pain is from a 0 to 10 scale, if it's a 0 to a 2, it's generally pretty safe to move through. If it gets up to a 3 or 4, you probably need to change some things and modify. If it goes up to a 5 or above, you need to stop and reassess what's going on. Your pain should return to baseline within 24 hours if you're increasing activity. If it does not, you need to reassess some things. So when is it safe to train? If it's dull, mild, improves as you warm up, doesn't change your movement, and doesn't worsen after your movement, pretty good to train through that. When do you need to modify or stop? That's going to be more of if it changes how you move, if it gets worse with each rep, if it causes limping or guarding, or it leads to swelling later that day or in the next couple of days. We want to learn how to train into pain, or train around pain, not into the pain. And so being smart with that. So common areas of your wear and tear, think about your joint replacement areas, so your knees, your hips, your shoulders, and then also like we talked about the frustrating chronic low back pain. Those are areas that are gonna wear and tear a little bit more. They're your big joints. And so a lot of times you don't have to quit training, but you do need to have load management for them and not necessarily have complete rest. So some training modifications you can do. Modifications can look like things like reducing your range of motion. If your shoulder hurts when you go above here, then don't train above there. You can slow down the movement. If you're doing your reps like this and it hurts, maybe you need to slow down and be very intentional and then go back down. Decrease your weight, decrease your reps. You know, if you're doing 10 pounds, drop down to 8, see if that feels better. If you're doing 10 reps, drop down to 8, see if that feels better. Change the exercise. So this is where open chain and closed chain exercise can come into play. A squat would be a closed chain exercise, but a leg press, that's more of an open chain. So you may change the stress on the knee that way and not experience pain. You can add in some rest days. That's another way to modify, is take more time in between your training. So movement is medicine. I want you to keep moving, but we need to modify and train smart. Injury prevention is really important because there are several things we can do to prevent injuries. So that would be like a gradual progression. You don't want to, if you've not been working out, jump back in and do a whole bunch of things. You want to make sure you're training strength. You want to train flexibility, mobility, and agility training. So one of the most common ways for falls is when you don't get good footwork and you trip and you can't move your foot fast enough. So working on things to get your feet faster is important. Endurance training so that you can do things for a long time. Sleep and nutrition play an important role. If you're not rested, you're more likely to get injured. So making sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Make sure you're properly fed with good protein and all those things, balanced diets. Hydration is also key. Our joints get stiff when they're not hydrated. Our bodies are 80% water, so make sure you're drinking water. And then make sure that you're having early attention to that pain. So this matters because most injuries don't happen just suddenly. They happen over time because we're overdoing things. That causes pain, and that will either cause fear or we ignore it. So we want to make sure that we're not doing those things. Make sure that you're being educated on what it is so you can move better. Remember, pain is information. So listen to it. Doesn't mean you have to stop. Key takeaways. Again, soreness after a new activity is normal. It can last 3 to 5 days. So it's not just like, oh, I worked out on Monday and on Wednesday I'm still sore. That's normal. Pain gives us information. It doesn't mean you have to stop. We may need to modify early to get around that. You don't have to be pain-free to be active. So I see this a lot. And one body part hurts, so we just shut down everything. If your knee's hurting, you can sit down and do exercises to do your upper body. If an upper body's hurting, there's still things you can do to load your lower body. That's really important. Strong bodies are resilient bodies, so it's important to have a full picture wellness routine to make sure that you can be resilient and live a long time. Any questions?
Yeah, how do you increase range of motion?
So one of the biggest things you can do to increase your range of motion is training your brain. So when our brain is trained that if I lift my arm to here and it is painful, my brain then says, we're not only going to not go here, we're going to stop before that so we don't have to experience that sensation. So you can do some different tricks to trick your brain to go further. So here is pain-free, then I go back down. And I just work through whatever is pain-free, so my brain goes, oh, that feels good. I want to move like that. Then you can increase it a little bit. Oh, yeah, that still feels good. I want to move through that. This may happen over days, not just one time, but okay, now that feels pretty good. Let's now go, now we're up to here. So you're just kind of playing those little mind tricks on your brain to say, if I increase this range of motion gradually, then I'm not in pain, so our body doesn't shut it down. That's one of the easiest ways to do it. Passively, with stretching, flexibility, that's another way you can do it. Come see me. I'm happy to help with some of those things as well. Yes, you in the back.
You talked about open and closed chain. What are those and why would I do them?
Yeah, so open chain exercises have to do when your body is not grounded to something. So it is open in the space. Walking is a closed chain exercise because we are connected to the ground. Lifting something is more open chain because it's in the air. It's open. So reasons to do that, lower body's really great for closed chain because we are in closed chain all the time, but sometimes we need to offload that and do a more open chain or non-grounded activity so that our body gets a break from that. Same thing with our upper body is, yeah, we can push all day, but if we don't have the grounding piece of it, our body's going to start compensating and change to those things. So both are important. A push-up would be an example of an upper body closed chain exercise versus like a dumbbell chest press would be a more open chain.
How do we, if we're experiencing pain that doesn't go away, how do we get in touch with you to set up an appointment?
Oh, that's a great question. So I am here most days from 8 to 1, and you can make an appointment by going to schedulepoa.com and then scroll down to the TOA injury assessment page, and that'll link you right to my calendar. There's also QR codes at my office here in the Wellness Center. Up front, there's cards you can scan for a QR code that will link you right there as well.
And is there any cost to that?
No, it's a free service.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you don't even have to be a member of the Wellness Center. You just have to live in the village to come and see me. So just sign up there, come see me, and I'm happy to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you.